Spreading that heart energy.
Yes, we are on the air. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Black
Hello.
Witch Chronicles.
We're going to begin with a prayer.
Yes. She who gives sustenance to all, from whom all things proceed, and to whom all things must return, unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and understand the mystery as we journey to thy sacred threshold.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe, amen, aho, namaste, hotep. All right. Welcome to Black Witch Chronicles, everyone. Welcome to the vortex of being Black Witch, which is our conversation, download, upload, universal communion for today. Our opening blessing and prayer was held by Lorena Elizabeth, a Black Witch. Say something so your face is up, Lorena. Say
Hello,
hi.
everyone. Hi. I'm blessed to be here with everyone tonight under this blood moon energy, this fantastic, powerful blood moon energy.
And I'm
Okay.
Lakeisha Harris. Yeah. Lakeisha
Yes.
Harris. And we are going to talk about being Black Witch, where to start. Where we starting, y'all?
Well,
we had a lot to say in the background.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yes.
the first thing people want to know is where is a Black Witch, Zoe Flowers? Zoe Flowers is here in spirit and wants you all to know that she is with us underneath this moon in spirit and is physically in community doing retreat work with survivors of domestic violence and those who work in the field of supporting survivors of domestic violence, and we raise them all up for the continued conscious evolution of the planet into a balanced and powered nation.
Yes, absolutely. Well, why don't we start with this card that I keep drawing? I have been drawing. Lorena drew it also for me. And it is the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups has been coming up for this whole week. I would dare to say 2 weeks. As we are all doing major shifts at this time in our life. It is the leaving behind of yourself and what you knew up until this point, to evolve into being a spiritual being a Black witch, and what it means to be a Black witch. This card is right on time as we start to talk about what it means to take ownership of who you are as a Black witch, your magic, being present in your body, and being conscious in your mind and of what's going on the planet.
All right. I'm feeling it. What was that word? What's that?
Catabasis.
Break it down for us, Lorena.
Catabasis is, we can compare it to like a hibernation of sorts. It's when we go back into the underworld. It's perfect this time of year, the autumn. Things are winding down. You've performed your final harvest. So now you have to look at what you have, look at what you've done, look at what you've accomplished or not, and you have to integrate all of that into your heart, into your spirit. So it's a time of deep soul searching. It's also a time of planning for the future. It teaches you what to do, what not to do next time, because we're reaping right now. So if you don't have enough to reap, when you're entering into Catabasis, that's the time for you to think of, well, what can I do to make it better? What can I do to make myself more stable? What is it about myself that is standing in my way? What reflection am I sending out into the world that's coming back to me? It's just a time for that internal dialogue where we really just get to know ourselves again and really embrace that shadow side of ourselves that a lot of us spend time running away from, hiding from, pushing away, projecting, that kind of thing. So it's the time when we have to face that. And I think with the Eight of Cups showing up repeatedly within that time frame, you know, right there is the validation. That's the proof. Because the Eight of Cups is like, we got to turn around. We got to look the other way. This isn't working for me right now. I need to know why. And it's hard because we're stepping out of that comfort zone, you know? And some people remain in a painful situation because they don't know what else is out there. Mm-hmm. So the fear of change, of newness, of the unknown will hold somebody in that space, but that's not what's good for them. So when the Eight of Cups shows up, it's like, you know, it's time to go the other way. It's time to leave behind that which no longer serves. I have a little saying I like to say, out with the old, in with the new. What serves me no purpose now fades from my view. So I think that the Eight of Cups kind of embodies that. And, you know, that's when it's time to be brave. You know, that's how we learn our courage.
Right.
Got to leave the nest.
That is true.
Jump out of that.
Courage is everything, though. That courage is really everything. When you're in this place, and you have to really teach me katabastis, you know, how to say this. When you're in this place of katabastis, you really have to. The universe forces you to look. For a lot of us now, I'm definitely in this. We find ourselves moving very quickly in our lives, and we've set out some really long-term goals. And in the process of setting out those really long-term goals, we've assigned ourselves a series of tasks that are going to like reach out over the course of usually years. You know, some people maybe less time, but a lot of us have a long-term vision. We were actually taught that creating a long-term vision was a good idea, but because we've tied ourselves into so many strict locations for the long term, if something like katabastis comes in, it's like hitting a wall. The universe has to shut you down physically in some way, usually, to get you to slow down. And that's really where the courage has to come in for a lot of people when they find themselves in this place, because plans are not getting ready to stop just because we dreamt it and heard it in our soul and told ourselves we have to do this. Usually it's going to be a physical injury. Something that's going to happen on the body in some kind of way. Arthritis, in my case, you know, inflammation appears in my body. I have real reduced mobility, and I have pain. The pain presents itself. For some people, it'll be a loss of a job or the loss of relationships, the loss of home, something that really causes you to stop and have to do what Lorena was just talking about, which is look and say, okay, what can I let go of, what can I keep? Usually once we take that moment, it's like going through the closet when you clean things out. I'm going to let go of what doesn't serve me. Well, this looks excellent on me, so we already know I'm keeping that. And that's exactly what we need to slow down to do. So my question to anybody out there is, like, on the topic of being Black Witch, how can you get the faith in yourself to follow the dream if it comes to you, or to follow that whisper from the ancestors, or to follow that gut instinct that maybe not say no to these next blah blah projects because there needs to be time spent in introspection? And honestly, the universe provides that for us during times like now, Mercury retrograde. Everybody wants to complain about Mercury retrograde, but retrograde shuts down all the annoying stuff so that we could actually do our inner work.
Yes. It interferes with the distractions. It stands between us and our distractions. And whenever this distraction acts up during the retrograde, that's when we have to say, hey, maybe I should be taking a look at this over here instead of this.
Right. Right. And that what, like, being Black Witch, it makes you take, like, this is not for the faint of heart, okay? Like, it makes you take, when the spirit calls you, it is a very uncomfortable place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not comfortable. This journey is not comfortable by any means. You have to really think your steps, critically read with a critical eye, I should say, everything. Really think about what you are conjuring, your purpose for doing it. Also laying protections and doing work that you're supposed to do for yourself. I mean, you have to think about everything, as well as the whispers and the messages that you are getting from your environment. And oftentimes, our environment is so full of dense energy, negative energy. We have that on our job. So, like Lorena was saying before we got on, it means that you may have to switch up your whole and entire life, the way you know it.
Mm-hmm. And I speak from experience on that. I mean, I had to make some major changes, and I went through some, major, like, catastrophes before I woke up and was like, okay, yeah, this is not my path. I've been fighting this long enough for whatever reason. My parents, my family doesn't like it or whatever. But I'm in this life for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one heart, and I'm going to follow it.
That's right. And as Black women, we're not taught to follow our hearts, our instinct. We're taught to hear everybody's voice but ours. Mm-hmm. And so this is being Black Witch is a relearning process and a reintroduction to yourself.
And a rebirth. Mm-hmm. Into your true skin, into your true heart and your true mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that true heart and that true mind is unfathomable, even to those of us who feel confident that we have, initiated ourselves through these catastrophes and crises and awakening, birthing. It's unfathomable. The skin and body and mind and spirit of being Black Witch is just, we don't have language, and we're not speaking in a verbal language right now that really can encompass that. But when we look at one another, we are so happy to see each other and reflect each other, because it's like the only language that there is for me to feel like we're talking. The fact that when we sit down together every full moon like this and we commune from our hearts, there's such joy in being able to communicate with my true self, with my true heart, and when I'm here with my fellow witches and all of the witches who are in communication with us through the audience, through the video, everyone who's engaged in this whole entire alchemy that we co-create, I feel such a sense of personal justice. There's so much justice on my heart and soul, because I've really survived a lot of fear and had to be brave and had to believe in myself. When I was trained, I was like, I've said it before, I'm my own best witch hunter, because my training has set it up where I think the witches hunt themselves the best, where we resist, and there are so many reasons why we resist. But we really want to quiet all of our sentient awareness, all of our incredible multidimensionality. We just keep trying to squeeze it down until finally it goes, and we have to surrender. So now that I've done that surrendering, I'm just always so glad and grateful for the process. Because I'm grateful to be here right now.
And I would like to, at this time, invite the audience to provide questions. If you have any questions, something that you've been wondering about, you want to ask us, we'll answer them to the best of our ability. And and knowing that we don't know everything, we're still on our paths, but we'll answer them to the best of our ability. I mean, and going back to that, not knowing everything, we're still on our path. Being Black Witch is an understanding that this is a continual learning process. You will not know everything. You will not know every deity. You will not, neither will every deity want to work with you or be your friend. You will not always feel comfortable, again, in certain circles, and nor have we always been made to feel comfortable in certain circles within the witch community. So I want to throw that out there, which is why Black Witch Chronicles exists, by the way. So just saying that you won't always feel like you belong, but if you keep searching long enough, and I mean searching inside of yourself, you will be placed where you need to be placed.
Yes.
You'll be there at the right moment, at the right time. All of your spirit guides will work in collaboration to get you where you need to go.
Bless that.
Yeah.
Bless that. Yes. Bless.
So,
true wisdom and knowledge.
Honey, I moved through this. I moved through this time. And let me tell you, I uprooted my garden. And one thing I will never do again is uproot my garden. Wherever it is, that's where it's supposed to be. But my garden is behind me in pots right now.
Aww.
And the reason I say I will never uproot another garden ever again is because as I was uprooting the garden, the plants started to whisper to me, this is what happened to your people. Like they found your people was dug up from the roots. And it was so very traumatic that like my plants right now are just like, I'm having to do Reiki on them. Like I am in trauma to the plants mode right now. And yeah, I got this feeling in my stomach as I started to dig up the roots, and they were like, this is what happened to your people. So and then I was like, oh my God, I am right now acting or behaving as a colonizer. I felt a certain type of way about that, because though I planted those seeds there, once in the ground, they were no longer seeds that I planted, but the universe's, the earth's bounty. That was not for me to go digging up. But I dug them up, and I was like, oh. So now what I'm doing is trying to love them the best I can, instead of what is happening to our people, which is a denial that the roots have been dug up.
Mm.
And that their trauma has occurred. But, being Black Witch is essentially learning the fucking lessons as you go along.
Yeah.
Okay? It's learning the lessons from the plant medicine, the spirit medicine, and I'm new to the gardening. I'm new to all of this. And child, when that message hit me from them roots, I was like, baby, whatever you garden, it stays there the next time.
That's
I felt
deep,
that
though.
way
That's a deep experience.
once. It is a deep experience. I felt that way about pick it up and take it with me, move, and oh man, I go by and look at it. I just, it being a large rose bush, it wasn't as possible. But I did, have that impulse. But I see why you would want to take your eggplants and so forth with you in the season. But we just learned a strong message from from the roots of the plant spirits that nourish us. Those were food. That was a food garden. So that was quite a message.
Right. Child.
And women, I'm grateful that you had the presence to receive, because a lot of people would not have even been in the moment to receive that epiphany the way that you did. So that's special.
Yeah, I'm still on the verge right now. Like, really, I am so connected to my plant medicine, my plant spirits, that, you know, I'm still, like, feel welled up with tears about that. So I've been, like, giving them extra water, like, please, babies, I'm so sorry. Like, don't die. Don't die. I'm so sorry. So, I don't know. I'm gonna try to get them bigger pots or whatever to appease them. But that is not what happens to our people, and I think that makes me feel a certain kind of way. You know, where we are still in a day and age where one, the Black witch's voice is not being heard. The Black spirit community is not being heard so much, and or ridiculed, or dug up by the roots, and there's a denial that that has happened, that our people are being killed off slowly, cultures are dying off, you know. It's just a lot. I'm going through so much of a major shift and a move to this beautiful space. Yeah, I'll stop right there. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. You're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people live in denial. You know, even when things are right in our faces, people would rather turn away than face the truth. And I think that's why, you know, more sisters, more brothers, everyone needs to stand up and say, look, I know it hurts, but it's here. And we have to feel that pain to inspire the change.
Well, guess who just showed up?
That way. What's up? What's up?
She couldn't stay away.
I couldn't. I was really feeling some type of way. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to sneak off into a bedroom.
We missed you too, boo.
For 15 minutes. And just see my babies.
How is the retreat going?
It's fantastic. It's beautiful. Everybody is so great, and of course the location is beautiful. So it's good. Internet is a little choppy up here, but everything is good. You know, we're in full bloom. The moon is great.
While we have you, can you speak on the topic of being Black witch?
Yeah, so I know that it was what to do or something like that. Stepping
where
into
to
the
start?
space of a Black.
Mm-hmm.
Where to start?
Where you are, Black witch.
Yeah,
anything.
so we got a lot of questions about that. We've gotten so many emails and things like that. And one of the things that I always tell folks is to really start in silence, and to start by listening to yourself and listening to your own guidance. A lot of people send us emails and things like that on Facebook asking us what they should read, what they should do, where they should go, what's right. And, you know, my thing is just to sit quiet and listen to your own self, your own inner guidance, and let that really lead you. You know, of course, it's good to look to other people, but I think really stepping into your Black witch womanhood is just about, you know, working on that shame and working on the self-doubt that's in so many of us because of, you know, so much of what's been put on us over the years. So I think it's just really working on shedding all that, you know, shit, for lack of a better word, that people put on us, and just step into our brilliance and our Black excellence.
Bless that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so you came right in.
I did. I got my eye on the clock too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a question that I want to put out there, one from the audience. It says, how do you find the security to not let other people's energy negatively affect you? How do you respond to negativity and pain in the world by transforming it into something positive and useful? And that was by Christina Gums.
Zoe, can you give us a little answer since you got to go first? Can you go first?
You know what? I think protecting yourself is so important. I think taking spiritual baths is really key, understanding the importance of taking spiritual baths, going into nature. And a spiritual bath could be olive oil, it could be sea salt, scrubbing yourself down with sea salt. It could be cleansing yourself with an orange. I think those things are really important, and finding your tribe, finding your people, and surrounding yourself with people who support you, I think is really key,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, it doesn't take a lot. Just really be conscientious of the spaces that you're going into. Like Zoe said, make sure that you're cleansing yourselves. Your first and foremost protection is like protecting yourself. So I do not leave the house without something. Whether it be my malachite necklace, tiger's eye. I carry stones on me, but also in the shower, I do, the first thing that I do is meditation and prayer work. In the morning before I go, take care of myself, ask my spirit guides to come in to my presence, surround me as I go out. Even if I'm not carrying a stone on me, I know that they're ever present. My ancestors are ever present, and they're always, right there ready to work with me. So that would be mine. Lorena, what about you? You're tonight's guest.
Well, I think that we're all going to experience pain. We're all going to experience less than ideal situations and circumstances. But I think it's important to remember that each time you're faced with a painful experience or a person who just doesn't resonate with you, maybe even seems to be out to get you or just not liking you for whatever reason, these are perfect opportunities to use your compassion, to grow your compassion, because it's only through pain that we learn what it means to be compassionate, whether it's ours or someone else's. So these are always opportunities to express that compassion and, to grow it. And of course, you don't want to remain in a situation or circumstance that is really draining your energy. So yeah, protection, baths is amazing. You know how I feel about stones. I love my gemstones. Those are all really excellent methods. And you don't be afraid to walk away from people. You don't have to engage with anyone. And you don't have to give anybody the ability to take away your happiness or rob you of your power. Walk away from that, because people can only take as much as you give them. So don't give it any energy.
Walk away and carry a big machete is my...
Oh yeah, girl, yes. Or a taser. Shoot.
Hello, exactly. Do what's necessary to get away. Do what's necessary to get away and guard your person. Just be, be nice until you can't be nice anymore. That's my golden rule. Like, be as sweet as you can, be as giving and loving as you can until you have no other choice but to go in.
But when you gotta go in, you can go all the way.
I have to go.
Oh no, Zoe, you gotta go.
I know. I have to go, but thank you so much. I just wanted to dip in and say hey, but we've got to go debrief our day now, so I gotta go. But thank you so much.
Love you.
I love you all.
Made my night. Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Seeing you.
Nice to meet you too. Peace.
So, G, what do you think about the question?
Yes. That is a question that we all pretty much need to ask ourselves every day, because for one, there's no little spell or quick fix or like set up on an altar or stone that you can buy or procure or get gifted that's going to hold any protection space for any period of time, because the energies are constantly moving, constantly moving. Put it up, it'll just be there for when it rains. These are things you have to use as needed. So there's that. And so that's why the baths regularly. Staging the house regularly, when I do it all the time and versus when I don't do it all the time. Huge difference. I mean,
yes.
Honestly, anybody who's operating out here cleanse the house every day, ideally, especially if you live in an urban area. It's just so much going on. Just really doing simple stuff like that. And then on the deeper level, like Lorena was talking about, you have an opportunity to deal with people. You don't have control over your entire environment. Plus, you have all of these different things going on. The thing is about being Black Witch, meaning being your indigenous roots, is really what it means to me. It means being a true divine being of the universe. To transcend any of this two-legged smoke and mirror co-creation of a collective consciousness. It's not about me as a woman. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about me as a divine being of the universe. At which point, I really have to work with what it is to be a spiritual being spending time in this body, right? So, if I have other business with a person in another dimension, and this is the way in which they're presenting themselves to me in this dimension, I need to engage with that person. I might just want to investigate why there is a persistent presence. Am I tying up what some people call karma? Is this like a karmic tie? But it can't be simply thought of as karma. It has to really be a multidimensional thing. Like, are we actually married in a concurrent life right now in the middle of like a drama? And like, can I like save myself from domestic violence in another life while handling this situation with my coworker? I mean, that's something I just made off the top of my head, but just to get your mind thinking like that.
But I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Gee.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You know? Like, how deep can we get? Like, if the topic is being Black Witch, I'm like, well, let's get a universal shoot. Forget about the rest. What's really going on? Well, how many dimensions am I operating in? Then, let's say I have these ancestral connections. And so sometimes your ancestors, as I keep saying, are spirits. And if these spirits are embodying another person, hello, we get possessed. Spirits show up and ride people all day and night, especially forget about it. They do that. So what if a spirit has decided to ride somebody who didn't pick to fight with you on the subway or anywhere, doggone it. It could be a spirit. You're working something. You are in the middle of doing something with ancestors or with like fire spirits or with nature spirits, or there's many dimensions in which you're gaining ground and losing ground and co-creating and building, and sometimes they intersect. And that's when we're like, okay, I'm not feeling like I'm getting the protection that I'm asking for. I feel like I can't negotiate this circumstance. It's like, okay, then this circumstance is asking you to negotiate it in a different way and to really blow out your conceptual possibilities. And these possibilities may in fact be all probabilities.
And can I say something too? Going into that multidimensional space that G just spoke of. Sometimes healing is multidimensional. Sometimes when we are carrying over, trauma, disease, infections from another lifetime. So your knee is hurting. You don't know why your knee is hurting, or you all of a sudden, no fault of your own, you're eating right, and you up and get diabetes. This is why we need to know our people's history, but we're so not connected to that story because our roots have been torn apart. We need to know what went on with our ancestors so we can sometimes acknowledge what happened to that ancestor. Just kind of acknowledging the hurt or the pain that happened to that ancestor that is now manifesting in you can make that infection or that worry. You're like worrying about something, you don't even know why you're worrying about it. Maybe it was something from another multidimensional space or an ancestor legacy that needs to be tied up or acknowledged, and then can be moved on and through you as a spirit being. I hope I'm making sense with that. But
Yes.
And isn't it interesting how we always want to say that, you know, well, I hope I'm making sense, because it's like we're paradigm hard because our roots have been torn. So when we're trying to remember our roots, a lot of times we have to face our own skepticism and our own resistance to the roots. Because, you know, the roots are like, they go every direction, you know, like you had to take, you said the roots have been torn apart. You had to like disentangle roots from roots.
Yes.
It's a whole world going on underneath. And that's happening for us as well. So getting to the roots doesn't mean just getting down into your own little roots. It means like threading out like runners and, you know, getting involved in that whole web. The fact that the whole globe is just one big bundle of roots. That's one way you can think about the planet. It's one big bundle of roots. It's just an amazing interconnected web, a nervous system of plant life, you know? So if you start thinking about your journey like that, that's why this is a never-ending journey. It's a journey that's going to keep going and that you will learn from every day, because you just can't get far enough into that thing. And the obstacle of having been ripped apart, that is what we're here, is to just really hold each other close so that our roots can speak to one another. And maybe my consciousness can't say that my roots are actually being given the time right now to connect to Lorena and to Keisha and to Zoe and to the person who just wrote this question in, and to the people who are hearing me and seeing me and or seeing me at this time. We are connecting our roots, and it's really blowing your mind out to be able to accept that, because the consciousness can be so skeptical, and the witch hunts was so darn successful where it's like, well, is that now being flaky? Is that just saying like, okay, so nothing matters, like anything's up for grabs, so it's all conjecture? Like, these are sort of the ways that people want to respond, because this is like too complex. If it's like, if I want to think at the level that quantum physicists have managed to figure out, like how does that make me somehow off point or, you know, not realistic? Because the scientists are making it clear, like, well, maybe you pack you know, Aboriginals and Indians and Negroes all might be onto something when you talk about this ongoing, expanding universe and so forth. You know, so now the anthropologists and the scientists and the people who some people have actually researched themselves far enough into the universal truths to begin corroborating the indigenous sciences and the technologies that we have inherited, that we can trace all the way back to Kemet and beyond, and that we certainly can trace all throughout, you know, history. And if you can remind your skeptical part that that's what you're doing, because sometimes you have to bring a little bit of conscious reminder from this paradigm in, like, oh, scientists are doing it somehow, that makes me feel better. Do it. Do whatever you need to do to allow yourself to tap into the roots. Tell yourself whatever you need to tell. Read whatever books you need to read. When you have a teacher, I think it was you, Lorena, who said, you know, you need to be able to draw on your own inner resources. Well, if you have a teacher who gives you room to be free, then that's a good teacher. A teacher who puts you in a direction. So, a teacher who gives you tons of space to figure stuff out for you, but is holding a bigger space for you. So, you know, you want to look at people in your life like that who really inspire you and make you feel a little safe so that you could journey a little bit more. The other thing is divination. You know, first thing he did was show a card today. So, forms of divination are often doorways to walk you in. So there's many different kinds of divination out here in the world. You know, I do a form of divination. Keisha does a form of divination. Zoe does a form. We all have many people do all the time. You can throw shells. You can do so many different kinds of things. Whatever resonates with you, you might want to start getting readings if you're looking for some doorways to open to your relationship to your roots and to your truth.
Right. I'll share to that divination piece because I know that my background, my way back background was like my grandmother brought me up. My grandmother played a key part in my bringing up, which was Jehovah's Witness. And then my mother is a Baptist minister, and which is like newly formed within the last 20 years of her life. But totally rejected being a Jehovah's Witness, but also gave me the courage at her rejecting that form of religion, the courage to go and find like my home and where I resonate. But what that brought into my life was skepticism around getting divination done for me. Like that was the first step in my courage to being Black Witch, was to actually have somebody give me my first reading. And one of those people actually a long time ago was Dr. G. I sat in her living room when she lived in Chicago and was my friend when I first was coming out of my shell, and she was flipping cards and giving me so many just beautiful reading my life, honey. So, yeah, connecting.
That is so true.
I love it.
Another thing that I wanted to suggest is when spiritual tools come into your life, to honor and respect them, even if you don't know how to use them now. If they're given to you, if they're gifted to you, honor, respect them, put them in a safe place, because you never know what you're going to need it for down the line. The spirits are preparing you. Like, for instance, I got a pendulum when I was in New Orleans. It's a beautiful pendulum. I never knew how to use the pendulum for divining purposes. But Baba Akialana in New Orleans was like, when he did my reading, he said, you need to really go into your divination, like really go there, learn it. That is what you're supposed to be doing. And I started to do it, and just this move, this shift in energy, where I got Elizabeth Ruth's place, I was also gifted with Black Hawk Spirit. And one of the books that I'm reading, it was like, give him a pendulum. Now, I got that pendulum to do your divining work. I got that pendulum in New Orleans 2 years ago and never knew what I was going to use it for. And now it's for Black Hawk's bucket. So honor the tools that you're gifted. You never know what you're going to use them for. Put them in a safe space. Keep them until you need them.
And those tools are not only physical tools.
Right.
Right? Because sometimes we get esoteric tools that come in the form of something someone did or said that somehow stated, I don't know, it struck us some kind of way, but maybe we felt funky about it when it happened. Sometimes those are tools that are given too. Another thing is, if you're dealing with someone and you don't understand what they're saying, they're trying to teach you something, but you can't quite figure it out. It's like going over your head, like you're interested enough to be frustrated that you can't figure it out. Sometimes that's all that teacher's going to serve you, because the way that teacher's carrying spirit to you, it's more like what they said to you, put a frequency in you. It's almost like a seed that's going to germinate and eventually begin to sprout. So disclaiming or discounting life as a teacher is something that we can always benefit from reminding ourselves not to do. Like, oh, the whole life is my teacher.
Right. Okay.
It's very true. You know, people come into our lives, and sometimes we wonder why, and sometimes just as quickly as they come in, they're gone, and again, we wonder why. And then at some point down the line, we have a realization, wow, well, this is the lesson that I learned from that experience, and this is how I can apply it today. So then we can turn around and still give thanks and be grateful.
Yes, yes. I want to jump in right now. We got about 15 more minutes. If there's any questions from the audience that you want to ask, feel free to put them out there. Elizabeth, Ruth, I see you, boo.
Love you.
Love you, boo. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, anybody work on any projects or anything interesting you want to shout out, or just like, you know, any observations of cool stuff you feel like shouting out?
Oh, yeah. I want to say that for the new moon coming up, I will be opening up my home for a BWCS get-together that I think I'll start to make happen pretty soon on a regular basis for the new moon. A calling in for good energy. That's what I want to do in this space. Start to have a little bit more classes with Sojourner's Healing Room and taking on a few other apprentices. So I'm excited about this new situation I got going on here.
Well, that's thrilling. Congratulations.
Yes.
So everybody busting a move to Chicago for the new moon.
You know my home is your home, boo.
Huh?
I said, you know my home is your home.
I do know. You see me bust a move up there when the moon is dark.
Lorena, you got anything? Yes. What's going on with you, boo?
Oh, you know me. I'm just trying to plan my YouTube channel, so be on the lookout for that. It's not up off the ground yet, but I'm working on it. I made some people some promises, so.
Great. We're
in the very near future.
Can you enlighten us at all about this channel? Like give a little preview, anything?
It's just going to be like different spiritual practices that I do. I'm probably going to give tutorials on like crystal gridding, give tutorials on maybe making some particular kinds of oils and tinctures, you know, holistic natural healing methodologies and stuff like that. You know, stuff that promotes unity, stuff that promotes self-worth, personal growth, self-mastery. I just want to empower. So my main focus is going to be empowerment.
Perfect. Well, we'll support it. Let us know when it's up and running. We will definitely be posting that on Black Witch Chronicles. Dr. G Love, what you got going on?
Okay, I'm sorry. So Elizabeth, Ruth, and me, and I'm calling her out right now because we talked about it for a very long time. We are the Divination Divas. And soon we will have our Divination Divas radio show.
Yes.
All things tarot, playing cards, pendulums, shells, scrying, Divination Divas.
I'm so down. I love this.
Come on, sisters. Come on. I love it.
On the topic of divination, I have the fortunate pleasure of getting to spend quite a bit of time in nature and in the woods. Some time ago, 2 years ago in the summer, camping in the woods, I began to get messages from the plants and from Osain up in the Green Mountains. And, you know, Osain, Mafuri Fun Osain, was sharing that it was time to create a physical medicine, because I'm a very alchemical person. You know, my greatest tool I like to work with is my hands, my energy, and then, you know, Florida water, rattle, earth-based things, and condor feather. And it says time to make a medicine, to bottle the medicine. And these plants are prepared to assist you all on the evolutionary journey. So really, this flower essence line of flower spirits, the flower spirits really just guided me to make this. So it's called Enigma 13 flower essences. So, you know, these are my stock bottles, but these are them. I have this wonderful set of essences. You know, I say they're essences for the modern evolutionary, Enigma 13 flower essences. And they're very particular flowers that came to me. They're just flowers that are growing wild. And they were the flowers that spoke to me of all the wild flowers growing all over the mountains. And some of them are there specifically to just really drop the divine feminine. You know, I refer to it as like carrying a lot of yoni power, and are really calibrated to healing from all the ways in which wombed individuals are assaulted energetically and physically. And then, you know, ones for, you know, like that would be sea mayweed. And then like silver rod and morning glory, wild morning glory, are for adjusting your frequency with the energy of the planet, because we know that the axis of the Earth is shifting, and we actually know that the meridians are changing. I mean, everything's always evolving, so the planet is not exactly resonating at the same frequency. And again, these are measurable should you need to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
The planet is shifted its electromagnetic frequency, and so some of us are really feeling thrown off because we're on the planet, like just for that reason only.
Just for that reason.
It's a pretty big reason. The entire frequency of the planet has shifted significantly, and it's throwing us. So it's two pieces for that, you know, and one is a little bit more of a divine feminine, although there's really, again, there's no human gender. I mean, plants are just amazing pollinators. They're so multiple. But in terms of just spirit energy, like the mother mind versus the warrior mind, as we've been saying, I would say that the wild morning glory has a bit more of a mother mind energy, and the silver rod has a little bit more of a warrior mind energy, or a divine masculine energy. But they both really work beautifully. And then things for gentling the process, like lamb's ear, is just there to help bring that gentleness, because so many of us are, you know, master warriors. So I'm very excited about Enigma 13. You can find them on my website at 5directionswellness.com, F-I-V-E, directionswellness.com, and then there's a little on the menu for flower essences, and there's a lovely little drop down. Check them out. One, they're affordable. Two, they're rocking the house.
I'm definitely going to check it out myself, because I love flower essences.
So we have two questions from the audience that I want to pose before we leave in 10 minutes. One of them is from Blue Celeste. Hey, Blue.
Hi, Blue.
How are you? It says, I love you all and what you are putting out there for us. This is Blue Celeste, and I had a question about cascarilla, which is a plant. I heard it keeps all spirits out of the physical realm regardless. Is it possible even if I try to set my intent? Okay, so I think I'll just chip in on this one. Some plants can protect you. I don't know that plants, since they are spirit, keep spirits out of the physical realm, if that makes any sense at all. I hope it does. But there are plants that can protect you. You can do work with to keep you safe and act as a barrier to you and bad energy, or bad or inviting bad energy into your space. I love basil. I use it. I actually used it to bless my home and invite good energy into my home. I used it with an infusion of my own early morning urine, and mopped my floors and washed down my walls and baseboards with it before moving into my space. So I don't know a lot about castorrhea per se, castorrhea, and I'm probably messing that up, but I do know what I know about the plants that I have grown, and basil is one of them. Also, lemon verbena I work a lot with, and sage. Like G said earlier, saging your house constantly on a regular basis changes the energy up tremendously. G or Lorena, you got anything quick to say about that?
I'll just say that, plants can help with defense. One thing I like to recommend to people is like a cactus. Couple cactus by your front door, acting as a sentinel. That energy is, the cactus still has loving energy, but it's also protective. It's defensive. If you touch it, you're gonna get stuck. So that will also add to that defensive energy to keep out negative vibrations from your home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what's nice about the cascarilla or any of the plants that are for defense is that they really assist you as allies.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, if you're going to work with a plant, treat it like a plant spirit. Like for me, I'm dealing with flower spirits right now. And that's like, I'm discovering the power of the flower. Literal flower power is no joke. They're little emotional geniuses, flowers are, and they make the world go round. So they're actually quite powerful. And if you're working with a plant that's designed for protection, if you open yourself up to communicating with it, which I know you can, by the way, because I know you are a little mad, brilliant genius, Blue Celeste, you will begin to open those pathways to your ancestors, to your guides, and to your guardians to help protect you in the way that you need to be protected at this time.
And Blue gave you a shout out. They said, I just have to say those flower essences are so fantastic. I brought 2, and they are truly doing what they do best.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
bless that. Bless that.
Mm-hmm. Flower baby.
And then the last question of the night was posed by Elizabeth Ruth. She said, what do you think about cleansers such as homemade soaps and sugar scrubs that you rinse off? Traditionalists say not to rinse baths off and to air dry, but I think even using formulations in your soap or scrubs are effective.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I am all about that. If I'm doing just a traditional, like, ceremonial, I'll go with just letting myself air dry. But every morning, putting that protection in your that sugar scrubs, your soaps, can be just amazing. I work with lemon verbena in that way.
Me too. That's my favorite too, girl. Oh my goodness. That fresh lemon just cleaning everything, cutting through, and it's so bright and vibrant.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, when you're doing your spiritual baths, like when you're using sugar scrubs, salt scrubs, homemade products, your pores are opening up. The essences of these herbs, the salt, it's getting inside of you. It's becoming a part of you. It's not just covering, the outer part of your skin. So, throughout the day, you're still going to have that protection because you've absorbed the vibrations of what you're using. So you can't wipe that off. You know what I mean? You can't, if you're drying off, you're not wiping that off. It's already a part of you.
Right. Okay.
Right. Well, a lot of times a traditional spiritual bath won't be like in the shower or the bathtub. I mean, you might go stand in there, but it's more of a taking medicine and, of some form, plant spirit medicine, and placing that on your body. You usually like glue it with your hands, maybe a certain number of times if it's for a particular spirit or Orisha or process. And that's what you air dry.
Yeah.
Other things that you air dry as well. But there is that very traditional spiritual bath that is really going on there, and that's the way the offering is. But I don't think that that really, negates the cleansing quality of the scrubs and the rest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that is our last question of the night. Any final words before we end it? Because we are going over time and it is an hour. Lorena, why don't you start us off since you're our guest tonight?
I just want to say how grateful, how blessed I am to have been able to be a part of this with my beautiful sisters. I want to extend that same love, gratitude, and compassion to everybody watching. I love you all. This is wonderful. I love getting this message out. I want everybody to just stand in their power and understand that we're all one. We are all in this together.
Okay. Thank you, Lorena. I really appreciate your presence. I appreciate your vision, your wisdom, your willingness to share so openly and so clearly. Your clarity is very sweet. So on behalf of all of Black Witch Chronicles, I thank you for just the deep sharing that you've brought to us. This has been really wonderful spending time with you. Yeah, it really has. For me, all I got to say is flower power, people, we got to just keep loving each other the best we can and forgiving ourselves every time we mess up, forgive ourselves for all the things we need to forgive ourselves for, and that's a long list. So just every day maybe work on a little tiny kind of forgiveness so that we can really, really move into that deeper place of forgiveness, which will bring us to protection. Because as soon as we're not so defensive because we're filled with shame and guilt, and we'll be able to nourish each other and ourselves so much better. And this posse is just going to keep moving.
Yeah, Shay. Yes. My last word, thank you both. I love you both. I can't have better sisters on the planet. It is an honor to always hold space with both of you. Yeah, you're my cherished circle right here. You audience are looking at the amazing women of my life that I get to spend my time with. I can't even ask for a better blessing. What I want to leave you all with is the fact that your voice is valid. Your walk is valid. Your spirituality is valid. Your hearing of the ancestors. And somebody asked in a question that we didn't get to, how do we define ancestors? I define ancestors as our animal spirits, our plant spirits, our interconnectedness to our being, our hearing, and our understanding. All of that is valid. Cherish and respect it all, and you'll be on your path. With that, good night from Black Witch Chronicles. We love you.
Good night, everyone.
So much love, so much love, so much love.
So much. I'm so full right now.
All right.